wait. Sorry.
I missed most of it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, no, the track was cool. I listened. Oh, wait. No, I don't wanna. Okay, wait. So yeah, this stream is being a mess. Yeah, so I'm sorry about that to everyone that is tuning in. That track was SJK Project, and I restarted it when we restarted the stream. So I hope that sounded okay. Or I can say like, well, Richie was unaware that we were playing that track for like half of it, so he can say stuff from like half of it until the end of the track. What do you think, Richie? What do you think of the mix? What do you think of the vibes of the the Celt? Violins were very Celtic.
Yeah. I really only caught like 45 seconds of it or something. It was cool. It was interesting. It's nice to have stuff. I like. I do actually like stuff like that where you've got real instruments mixed with electronics. It's cool. But I'm afraid to say I missed almost all of that track. I didn't realise that we were listening.
Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry about that. That was my mistake because I didn't tell you like that I was gonna play it from the beginning. But yeah, well, what I can say is like obviously if it's an old mix, yeah, well done. He says it's from 2009, so that's pretty cool. You don't have the files anymore, do you? I guess. I was thinking that some of those like violins, like they're a little bit like too forward and a little bit too dry, But obviously, if you don't have the mix, then it's gonna be hard to correct. But yeah, no, right, really nice. I like the first, the melody that comes in on the breakdown. It's really really cool, and the vibe of the track is really cool too, man. Like I can see where all your new style stuff is coming from. But wait, we had another thing to talk about, and that is Shanka machine stuff. Like Rhythmizer is one thing that it just released, but you're working on a new project. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the next one that I'm doing, the one that I've been working on this thing for like almost 2 years now, actually. Yeah, it's just been a combination of just life and family and whatever, just making it difficult to get it all done. But yeah, so I'm working on this thing called Illegal Machine. And the concept behind it is based on a trick that Adja showed me originally, like a long time ago. In Ableton, where you take you basically use the follow rule in Ableton clips to create sort of random leads.
Yeah.
So you set up a whole load of clips in Ableton.
Yeah.
And you select little bits of them, like little sections of them, say like an eighth, a 16th, yada yada yada. You put different effects on them, etc. And then the follow rules is like a thing that will say like, once you've played this clip, what should I do next? Should I play it again? Should I go to a different one? Etc. This is a trick that Tristan uses a lot, and he went into it in massive detail in the masterclass that he did on Futurephonic.
Yeah.
To explain it, but obviously it requires that you've got Ableton to do it.
Yeah.
So if you're not an Ableton user, it's a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
Like you can't do it, or you've got to go into Ableton, make a little sound completely out of context without like being able to do it in the context of the track you're working on. So yeah, that's basically what it is. What the idea is about it is that
that's
it's
really good
to do this like follow rules, random leads, noises, etc. You could do all kinds of stuff with it. Like I've been making like random hi-hat things. I mean, actually, that's one thing. Quite often, what I do when I'm making hi-hat lines is pull in about five or six different hi-hats and arrange them into a pattern.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But you can do this super quick with this. You just like drop your 5 hi-hats in there and just say, oh, just play a random one every time, and it will just give you this infinitely random hi-hat line, like that's just using all these different sounds. So I'm hoping to get that out like I was thinking that I could probably get it in time for Christmas, but I think it's unlikely. So it'll be early in the new year. I'm going to get that one out. Mostly it's mostly done, actually. There's just a small amount of polishing that I need to do on little bugs here and there, and just streamlining the user interface, because it's slightly complicated, and I want to make it so that it's as obvious as possible, and that it's not just something that only I can like operate.
Yeah. You don't want another buffer. You don't want another. What's the name of this thing? The stutter edit. Another stutter edit there.
Right.
No, but
sure.
Well, I was thinking, and that would be a cool thing. I think, like, if you could commit to something that just played, it's like, oh, okay, I like this, commit, and then it will start, and you say commit, and it will, like, it will probably, like, maybe show you, like, okay, you want to commit, like, the last, and we'll start by a big chunk, like, say, like, 4 bars, and then you can say, okay, no, 2 bars, 1 bar, like, the last bit to commit.
Right, yeah, that's a great idea. Fuck. But that is a really good idea, actually. Just like, oh, that was great. I wanted to do that last bit over and over again, kind of thing. Yeah. I think, that's a very, very good idea. But probably something for the next iteration of it. But I really want to get this thing out, because like I said, I've been working on it for 2 years, and I'd really like to get it out, and really all it's just missing at the moment is some polish and a load of presets. So I've been working on some presets myself, and I'm trying to encourage some of my beta testers to get into, and like to.
I'll do some too, man. I promise I'll do some too. Yeah, man. But So I should get. I think realistically, it's going to be early in the new year that I'll get that one out. Cool.
And again, sort of, it will make this thing that is only really available to live, and I suppose you can do similar things in Bitwig to a degree. I've not really tried it in Bitwig, that same technique. But I think it is possible. Bitwig does have these kind of follow rules built in. But yeah, it's. I mean, like the last couple of tracks that I've released, I've used it in. It makes some really cool sounds. I'm quite happy with it. So I'm really keen to get this thing out and into the hands of other producers to play with, because it's a fun little tool once you get your head behind around the concept of it. Like,
man, it must be.
I'm going to need to make a shitload of videos to explain how it works.
Yeah, for now at least. But I mean, I'm sure you can make the user interface super, super simple. Like all your user interfaces are very, very easy to follow. So it's just.
This one is it's more about the concept of it, really. It's like because I mean, obviously, like the things that I've made before, like they've had very, very specific uses, and there's not so. Like with a gate, like what what can you do with a gate? What can you do with a delay? It's not really that difficult to understand the concept behind it. But
No.
this is the first instrument that I'm making, and it's a very different concept from, especially if you don't know about this, like this follow rule technique from Ableton. So
yeah, but maybe maybe you can like implement something like some boxes, like what FabFilter does. That when you like scroll on top of it, then it will just tell you like, oh, okay, this is your probability, like, or your like not probability, but it's like this is your logic or your logic gate.
Yeah, sure, yeah, that's a good idea. That's also like definitely one of the things that I should do for the final polish is just make sure there's plenty of tooltips that explain like what stuff does and what have you. I think really like the main thing is just I'm a big fan of YouTube videos actually, and like stuff like what you were doing. You haven't really done so much recently, have you, with your YouTube videos? But just like stuff like what you do and Dash and there's loads of people that are making these like videos to explain like, oh, like this is how I do this thing, this production technique. It's a really good way of learning quickly, and you can see how it works. And I think it's, as long as there's not too much waffle, it's much better than a manual. Like a manual is kind of like you have to read things and you have to go back to the plugin and try it. And whereas if you can just watch someone explain how it works in 5 minutes in a YouTube video, brilliant. Much quicker and easier than sort of reading something and then trying to try it yourself and hope you've understood exactly what they meant. And obviously, if you don't, it's like if the manual is in English and English is not your first language, then it makes it even more fucking hard because whereas anyone can watch someone move a mouse around and hit this button and hit that button. So YouTube videos are great. I really like the fact that there are all these kind of resources for people to learn things on YouTube.
No, it really helps, man. I wish we had that kind of resource when we started. Like, we wouldn't be,
Yeah. I mean, there's so much now as well. Like, so much really, really good information as well. It's not just sort of. It's not bullshit. Like, oh, this is my way of like doing it. It's actually just. Yeah, no, that's really the right way to do it. It's good.
Yeah, or even like just approaches, because you can have different approaches to the same thing, no? Like now you're doing your approach into this follow function from Ableton, no? And it's going to be, obviously it's going to be a different approach. Like maybe some things are not going to work the same way.
Yeah, no, it is. It's same but different, definitely. Because the thing with Ableton one is that you have like a clip, and that's it. All you can choose is which one comes next based on some rules.
Yeah.
The way that I've done it is I've got like 5 different lanes of things. So you've got like the sound itself, some pitch information, some filter information, some effects information, and all of those things can run independently of each other.
Oh wow!
So you can get some crazy polyrhythmic shit coming out of it.
Amazing.
Because you can set like one thing to like 5 steps, another thing to 3 steps, and so you can get it can get a lot more complicated basically because of that. So
I was I was thinking like something about it. Like I wanted to ask you, but oh yeah, I'm guessing there is also a randomization that like it just goes anywhere. But is it possible to select different randomization algorithms? Like maybe something like one that could be like like how do you call them? There are like a few of them, no? You could get like I guess everything is a sample and hold there because it just goes to random positions like every step.
Yeah. So, well, there's kind of like, yeah, the way that it works is there's like a choice. You've got different things. You can choose like a random step. You can choose the next step, the previous step, jump to a specific step.
Mm.
Um, but yeah,
If or
yeah. Again,
gates,
huh?
like if and or gates or something like that. That if you went to the previous step, then maybe or yeah or something like don't go
Yeah,
to
there's
the.
not that there's not that kind of logic of like, oh, if you've done this before, then do this next kind
Mm.
of thing. There's no if in at the
Yeah.
moment anyway. That could be an idea
Mm.
for a future version.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um, yeah, that would be. But you could kind of. I think you could probably do something kind of similar, whereby you have like where if you've got like a whole load of steps that are picking random destinations, but then the random destinations that they go to will always go to a specific destination afterwards.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of like, it would be kind of like random, and then, oh right, if I do this one, then I always go to this one
Yeah.
next.
Exactly.
Um,
It could be
yeah,
interesting for making the pitch information, for example, like okay, like if every time I go to a fifth, then I'll go to the first again, because then we have that like
yeah, 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 yeah,
Dino
yeah, yeah,
or this
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. You could definitely do that kind of stuff with it, like.
Like for
Yeah,
bridges and like for tensions and bridges and stuff like that would be really
yeah,
useful, I think.
that's a good idea. Actually, yeah, that's given me some good ideas actually about the things for presets to make.
Yeah.
Because what I tend to do is I tend to put lots of different samples in,
Yeah.
and then leave pitch information quite kind of static.
Uh,
But it would be good to have like one where it's like, okay, I'm always going to play the same sample, but I'm going to do something interesting with the pitch list,
mm.
so that it's like for making like kind of interesting arpeggios kind of thing or something like
Yeah,
this.
man.
Like,
That's really good idea. Yeah, really, really nice. Um, but yeah, man, it's just it's endless when you come into like programming and stuff. Like it's just like whatever you can think of, like you can do it if you think about the logic about it. And yeah, that's another subject that I wanted to go into. But first of all, let's get into the rhythm of the night. No, wait, no, that's not. That's different. That's a different podcast. Wait, there is like Nikhil sent us a track right now that the name is. Wait. Raptors, and what's this project? It's called Raptors. Raptors is the name of the track or the project. What's going on? Is this coming out on your? He has a label called Spaced Chimp Records. It's a pretty cool name. But and yeah, so let's see. And yeah, SJK projects. Language is another step to pass. For me right now, programming language is another step to pass. Microburst Alert, that's the name of the project, I guess.
okay. Are we listening now?
No, not yet, but we are going to
Okay.
in maybe a couple of minutes. Let me just, yeah, right now, like I did the. I set my computer. I have this thing called throttle stop, and it's like a script to stop my CPU from throttling. And I think it's keeping it cooler, and because some I guess suddenly because it's like over half of the process that it's like using, or like over 40 or 30%, then it goes to like full throttle, and then it starts heating up. And then when it's too hot, even if I'm not using so much of the processor, then it goes like back to like slow ass like looks like a Celeron or something. So uh, this is horrible. Oh, it's the name of your Psytrance project. Nice. Microburst alert. Tell me what you think, Richie Tron. Already heard it last week. It's 40-50% done. Okay, cool. So let's listen to this. Possible pitch for Boom Shanka when it's done. Okay, look at that, man. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna focus this. Gonna focus the shot on Richie right now, not the This is gonna be the Richie check, not the DG check. So let's listen to this.
Ooh.
are back here. I'm gonna fade this out because it seems like an old, like one of those good old fade to taste kind of endings. So yeah, we are back, amigos.
Yeah.
So what do you think,
Cool.
man? Give us your thoughts. Like
Yeah, I liked it.
you were saying mid range was a little bit like pokey.
Yeah, no, I just felt like the bass was missing a bit in the mid range. Like could have a bit more, a little bit more, like in that kind of that upper end of the bass, like. But it's clean, definitely. Like it sounded clean to me here in my studio, but it's not really a studio. Like awful flutter echo that I've got. But yeah, no, it's cool. It definitely needs a lot of work in the second half to be more interesting. But yeah, cool. Carry on working, Nikhil.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
sure you can get that back sounding cool.
Yeah, man. I think what I noticed actually from that track is yes, somewhat the kick drum basically, like there is like a fine line between the kick drum being too loud and being too quiet. Like right now your bass and your kick compared to your sounds and your percussions, it's pretty loud, I think. The bass is super bassy, like I think that's what you were thinking, like that the bass needs a little bit more high end. Well, it kind of like has too much bass, like maybe too much of the fundamental is out there, and also because the kick, like what I was pointing out with the DG check in the middle of the listening to the track, is like the kick is like dipped again a little bit, like too much on the where the real punch of the kick, like the poof, poof, poof should be, you know, and it's only has sub and then only has mids, and then so like I'm guessing also that's giving Nihil problems balancing balancing the low end, because they're both very subby. So like you have like the kick hitting the real sub low end like 50 hertz, and then have the bass hitting like 50 or 40, and then it's like a big subby mess. And so you want to get those two instruments to hit at least like more or less one octave higher, like on the, instead of 50 on the 100, or like instead of 40 on the 80 register, a little bit louder than like the 50 register. I think for the kick, I think for the kick, if what I usually do is like I push a little bit higher on, like 100 or like 90 or something, and then it's gonna push also the 50, but then I compress 50 with like a slower compressor, so then it compresses that bit and it pushes the other knock, and that like kind of pushes the kick, like the knock of the kick, and that really helps sometimes. But you have to you you do that too.
Yeah, it's kick and bass balance for me is the hardest thing. It really is the hardest thing, I think, in making psytrance, is getting that kick and bass balance amongst themselves, and then with the rest of the track as well. Is super hard. It really is the hardest thing.
Yeah, for me also. It's like and if you don't have that kick and bass balance correct, then the rest of the sounds, it's very difficult to judge, because you always have to like always base yourself to those kick and bass balance, and not in numbers but with your ears. So if something is wrong, if your kick and bass is not in phase, then your kick is going to be too loud because it's canceling with the bass, and then that's going to be a problem on the mid range of the kick. If your kick and bass, like if like for example your kick right now is not punching in the right frequency, like 80 hertz or 120 hertz or something, like a good nice like one of those chesty kicks.
That's actually where a lot of the that's the area, isn't it, where the kick really punches. Is around that 100 hertz area.
Yeah, exactly. And you need to like keep that area more or less full with the kick, you know, like the kick needs to be punching on that area for it to like for it to cut through the mix without being just the sub of the kick, just the boo boo. And then
Yeah.
because right now your dynamics in the track nihil, they're okay, more or less. You know, the kick is punching through, you know, about 2 or 3 decibels over the bass on the RMS, which is sort of fine. But then those 3 decibels is on the almost inaudible range. It's just going to make mess, you know, instead of being like nice tonal poof, poof, you know, it's more of like atonal, kind of like woof woof. And that's not, and
Oh,
that added with the bass is gonna be yeah, to a big wall of
yeah.
bass.
I remember like this, like so many times I've been like on stage playing a track for the first time, and it sounded great in the studio,
Yeah,
and then you're on the stage and all you can hear is
yeah,
what the fuck? What
yeah,
did I do so wrong?
yeah, yeah.
Why does it sound so great in the studio and it just sounds like total arse like
Yeah,
here again? But then also that's a really tricky thing I think about when you're on stage. You're not always in the best place to hear what's going on like on the dance floor,
yeah,
and can be super confusing sometimes.
yeah, yeah. No, it's what I feel is like when I'm on stage and the stuff kind of sounds clear on stage, like too clear is a bit too much mid range. You know, if it's too clear, then your
Right.
mid range is a little bit too present. But you always want your mid range present because, like, when you're hitting like big decibels, then like like 2 or 3 decibel difference on your your mix can make your track sound like pure kick and bass or like well balanced mix. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, like it's very very confusing, you're right, and it's always not a good place to judge the mix per se, but it's always a good place to judge how it's behaving behind or after other mixes that that are okay. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, man. But this wait, Joe was saying, what are your favorite tools for adjusting the kick and bass? I hear you talking EQ, saturation, and compression. I've seen a lot of people using various tools to adjust the transient. Your experience, there a tool preferred? Well, yeah, there's many tools, like, but depends for what. No, like what I do, and I've put it on my YouTube channel, like in great detail. Is like with kick, I do it with serum, and then I can adjust the phase, and this is like the biggest part of like non-destructive phase adjustment, in my opinion, is like doing it from the
Mm.
kick starting point, because then you have 360 degrees on the end of the kick, which is like already like all the positions from your phase, and there is completely non-destructive to anything. The bass stays in the phase that
Yeah.
it meant to be. The transients go like it's no problem. So
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like the phase at the beginning of the kick is kind of unimportant.
yeah,
It doesn't really matter at all. But the phase at the end of the bass is super important.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the end of the kick, sorry,
yeah.
is super important to how it interacts then with the bass. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember you telling me about this trick, like about like making sure that the kick is in phase with the bass at the end makes so much difference.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, I
it's crazy.
I think it was Dixter that told me that trick at some point. It's like, and I couldn't understand.
Okay.
I couldn't understand it. It's like, okay, like it should kind of go the same, but it's a sine and then a fucking saw, and then it's like it doesn't quite, but it does, but no, yes. And then Keza was explaining it to me here in my studio, and where we were doing it here, and he's like, no, look, just do like that with the. We were doing it with bassism, and then it's like, oh, well, move the kick.
Okay.
And you just moved a little bit the kick, and it kind of like aligned, and it was like, oh, okay. And then I was in Europe, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this with serum, because we were on this like Psytrance producer forum, and it's like someone is like, how would you do a kick with serum? It's like, oh well, 5 minutes, and then I made a kick, and I posted the link. Then I started working on that idea for like a year. like just making a decent kick, because like, oh no, I have to make a decent kick now. And then like I released that's my first YouTube thing that was about kick and bass. But yeah, and about transient, responding to that question about transients, I use many tools. I use Transx. I use
Transex is great.
yeah, it kind of breaks a little bit some of the like the phase when you have to set up the bands correctly, or it can like ruin your kick and like your bass.
It's kind of like that thing as well with what's that fucking Quadrafuzz?
Yeah, totally.
Quadrafuzz was all about setting the like
Yeah, the
the
crossover.
bands basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, because of the way that it's working, it's adjusting the phase. Like, because when you've got multi-band shit like that, it's always adjusting the phases
yeah,
at the crossover points.
yeah.
So if you set them correctly, you can do some really interesting stuff. Basically, of like
Yeah.
wildly adjusting phase, like
What I've been
from adjusting crossover points.
Yeah, no, it's like
kind of makes sense, but it does.
it makes a huge difference, and like you can hear it when you're moving it, but then at some point, like if you don't have like a good reference in your studio, it's kind of pretty hard to hear when it's right and when it's wrong. This kind of situation, it can be very frustrating.
Yeah.
I remember I was feeling very frustrated with that kind of stuff, just moving crossovers and not feeling right. But then like now what I do is like I do that, but I do that only with my mid bass, yeah? So then I can have all the transient control that I have. And then the sub bass is out on another channel with like no multiband processing, no filtering, nothing. Just it stays like super clean, and then you have like a proper sign on the key that you want. And that kind of helped me sort it out, but also it's a bit of tweaking. So, but I also go into detail. But wait, we have another track here. It was one of my contacts in Facebook. It's called Axer X Optimize. I'm not sure what that means. If he's on the stream, he should tell us right now himself what that project name means. Wait, it's loading up. Okay, well, let's go. Let's do this. Oh, this is all the way down.
emotion is nothing more than a movement or construct.
Oh, well, and we are back online, and this is gonna be the last track because the stream is going weird as hell. What do you think about this, man? Like, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, cool. Very nice. Very well. Yeah, very good production.
Mm.
Not my taste at all, but you know that doesn't matter because that's one thing. Actually, I've always um, uh, retained in myself as as a thing is I don't care what other people think about my music really too much.
Yeah.
Like as long as I enjoy it, and you know, obviously you want to aspire to making well produced music, but everyone's taste is different.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got as long as you've produced it well, then it doesn't matter if someone says I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because everyone like, you know, people like meatloaf.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I don't.
Yeah, no, it's true, man.
Some people do.
Yeah. No, and also it's like
Yeah, no, it was good.
it gives difference. No, for sure. Like I think what you say is very, 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 very important. No, like for anyone that is making their own music and they're trying to be original or like are